change? Is that something people here in London, is that something you're concerned about? I'm interested in why some people care and other people couldn't give a shit.
The climate's changed, and I think there's a lot of evidence from scientists, and I think there's a lot of work and effort going into suppressing that information so that energy companies can continue to operate the way they are.
I was wondering whether you thought climate change could be an issue that could unite us all on left and right.
No.
And I think it's fantastic when young people decide to become activists and protest for something that they are truly passionate about. The main problem that I see is that most of them have not really done their research.
This is me having an argument with a 12-year-old.
Non-violent.
Non-violent.
Well, you need to do violence.
You need to do violence.
Yeah.
Violence is the way to solve.
So if someone came up to you and punched you, what would you do?
I'm a pacifist. I wouldn't do anything. Well,
what's that?
I was at an Extinction Rebellion protest in Leeds, hoping to meet some of the young rebels involved with the movement.
Why violence?
If I punched you right now, what would you do?
Punch you back.
Punch you back?
Yeah.
And then I'd punch you back.
Well, you can't do that because you're
pacifist. Yeah, but I've already broken my pacifist. Let's say I wasn't a pacifist and I punched you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you punch me back. And then you punch you back harder and then you're dead on the floor.
Oh, well, it's my fault and it's wrong.
Well, then the violence is not the way.
I decided to move my focus away from clashing with the public to the Extinction Rebellion youth group of Leeds, who had let me come and film one of their protests.
Right, so basically what we're doing for the protest, as members of the youth, we feel silence in this whole matter of the climate emergency, and we feel that although politics is not always the way that we can stop things, it is the main way, especially in this country. Yeah. And we feel as members of the youth that we're silenced in this matter. So we're here to kind of say we want the vote, we want 16-year-olds to be able to vote, and we're using sort of civil disobedience in a way to do that.
And that's the sort of basis for Extinction Rebellion, you use civil disobedience to
that is the main way to do things. It's to kind of annoy people.
It's not to annoy people. Non-violent direct action does work, and it's been proven to work before. So hopefully.
While they were waiting for more people to join them, I found it a good time to ask some questions which were on my mind about the way Extinction Rebellion operated.
Is it legal for you to do things like this?
This is legal, but police, I don't know if you've heard of Section 14.
No.
Section 14 is basically protest law,
okay.
And they use it to end protests. So especially, with the big rebellions that happened in London, they completely banned protests in London.
Which has been proven to be illegal.
Which is proven to be actually illegal from the Met Police.
XR has been, I don't really explain this, to arrestables and non-arrestables. Basically, if you're non-arrestable, you won't do stuff to get yourself arrested.
I think people that feel that they can't become unarrestable, they feel less than people that do. Do you think that XR say, oh yeah, look at all these people that
I think they say for every person who's arrestable, there's around 20 people who ensure that person can be arrested. Because you've got legal observers, you've got police liaison, people who do all that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say that they feel less important, but it's just a different part of the movement.
Okay. Quite a statement when you see somebody being arrested, or when sometimes they show sort of the oldest person who's been arrested and stuff like that. It's quite a stark image.
I think there was a 94-year-old.
Oh,
who was arrested during the London the October Rebellion, and of course that hit headlines. You're an older person, it creates newspaper articles, it sparks public interest because oh my god, this is actually getting quite big now. There's people of all age groups getting arrested. When there was a 15-year-old girl arrested this year, that hit headlines too. It's about trying to make sure that we have a sustainable future.
Would you bring your kids into this world if you were going to have kids?
Considering the business as usual that is happening now, personally I wouldn't want to bring kids. I would feel guilty about it. And I'm sure other members of Extinction Rebellion would actually agree with me that they feel guilty about bringing children into the world.
Would you bring your kids into the world, Martha? This world, right now.
I'm tempted on yes, because we don't want to control populations. Population control is, bad. It's not the best.
After a while, a few more members arrived, and it looked like the police had decided to come along.
Must have been.
It's everyone that we're expecting. Oh, we've got a camera as well. I feel like it'll take quite a while to layer everyone up and stuff. So if we do that here, after sort of, hi, I'm gay. You're over 18.
Someone from Lush had come outside to give us all sweets in a kind gesture, and then the preparation began.
Can someone grab one for them so at least they get one?
I'm just going to put some. I was, but I feel like. Oh, that's
The idea of the protest was to tape over their mouths to highlight the silence they felt. They asked me if I wanted to join in, but having tape over my mouth would stop me from interviewing.
Oh yeah, we can see.
I think it's fine. Sorry.
I spoke to a local photographer while they got ready, and then the time came to enter the adjoining shopping centre, Trinity, and start the protest.
If you wouldn't normally vote, vote for us. Vote for the climate. Vote for our future.
In a very short space of time, their protest had caught the public's attention.
What was that person saying there?
She was saying that on one of the protest signs it said that you could join the army at 16, and she came to tell me that you could join at 16 but you weren't allowed to be legally deployed until you were 18. It just seemed a bit, I don't know.
Do you find there's a lot of hostility from people?
When I'm trying to talk to people, or if I even sort of start talking from my mouth or make eye contact with someone, they almost it's like they see me and then they start walking away. But what these guys are doing is catching quite a lot of attention, and so I'm thinking. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to try and step back a little bit.
After a long time, standing around watching, they quickly put me to work. I was now in charge of handing out flyers to the public, and at this point I thought it'd be a good opportunity to find out what they thought of it all.
What made you interested in taking a picture of Extinction Rebellion?
It's because youngsters, they need to have a voice, the government needs to listen to them because they're the future.
Brilliant.
Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah, are you Extinction Rebellion? Is that what you guys are?
Hi, I'm Thomas.
Hi, Thomas.
Hi. So have you followed a lot of Extinction Rebellion stuff?
Yeah, I follow all the protests. I've attended one or two. My granddaughter here has been on one or two, so I go down when the schools are out.
You go down when the schools are out and join everybody else?
Yeah, I
That's
join.
Great.
When old people are invited, I go. Well, I'm a lifelong campaigner for progressive causes since I was your age, so I've been aware of this for the last probably 20 years or so, and this clearly is the really big issue of our day. But I'm also a socialist, so I support redistribution of wealth and so on and so forth. So I see it as all part of one big struggle for a better planet.
And do you think this is groups like Extinction Rebellion and this sort of civil disobedience is sort of getting recognised as the way to get there?
I do. I think it's absolutely necessary. And I know it gets a bit of bad press occasionally when the disruption perhaps gets a bit too intense, but you don't win anything without some disruption, and it's absolutely necessary to really bring home to the whole world just how critical this crisis is. Keep rebelling. I'm for it. Rebel.
I think some of the things, I think you want better management, like stopping people going to work and all that.
Yeah.
I know where you're coming from and I like your idea, but I think with proper management and everything, you have a better argument. And you'll certainly have a stronger argument that lasts longer.
Do you think this is the way to go then, Extinction
Oh
Rebellion?
yeah, go for it, try it. Because all other generations have copped up.
Yeah.
In the 60s they were going to do all this, well I'm still waiting for you lot.
Yes.
But you must keep focused on your dream and never leave it. Even when you have children, you end up with a mortgage and buying a car yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Think about it, because you do have lives.
Yes.
But keep focused and just keep pushing and you'll get there and you'll do it. But best of luck to you all.
Thank you. Do you think Extinction Rebellion are the way to solving the climate crisis?
Yeah, I do. Amazon rainforest has been destroyed. It's Earth's lungs. It allows us to breathe. One chance.
One chance. Well, it's good. Thank you very much.
All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate. All the best.
And then, just out of nowhere, Frank, the photographer, had bumped into Boff Wally, a long-time friend, musician, and fellow social activist.
This man's an old stalwart anarchist. No, he's probably not. He's a legend. Chumbawamba.
Legend.
And on Saturday now, while the kids are happening, he's meeting his kids in the shopping centre.
Absolutely. Well, if they weren't in the Apple Centre, they'd be out here joining in. Also, the more under 18s we vote, the easier it is to get the Tories out. So.
Hopefully, yes.
Yeah.
You might also find it interesting that Boff is also you're a playwright, aren't you?
I am.
And you write plays that are also politically, would you say, agitative, provocative?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, how could you not in this day and age?
After a few hours, the protest came to a close. I'd given out all the leaflets, and I went back to see what the young rebels made of it all.
Good. I kind of felt like we weren't able to we weren't able to explain, so that was hard. However, then again, that also kind of brought a message across that we are sorry.
It was good. I'm happy with it. My mouth hurts, but
there was a lot of people who were like stopping and saying like, oh, I agree with this, like, yeah, you should. And a lot of people just like coming up and like reading the signs. I just actually like find it interesting what we're doing, because I think it's quite like it's quite eye-catching, people having like tape over their mouths, I'd say. Yeah, but I think it was a pretty good response. We ran out of flyers, so that's always good. Yeah. If I could I've got a video of...
Did you enjoy it, Kaja?
I wanted to evaluate how effective these methods used by modern climate activism groups actually are. I found the whole thing very impressive, and it did draw attention to their cause, but now it's time for a little historical comparison. It's been a long time since I've done history in school, but I'll have a go now. After all, history repeats itself, as they say, and it seems to be a good way to predict future success.
So we're here as part of the climate hunger strike. We have a bill which addresses this crisis, which Parliament declared in May. We've had no action. So we've got people now on day 11 of their hunger strike.
Today is the Youth for Climate strike thing, and we're gonna go and we're gonna see what they're up to down there. We have a checklist here. We've got to have 500 bits of water. That is 75 centilitres. What's 75 centilitres in millilitres? Sugary and salty snacks. Got the crisp. Got brownies. Got the Haribo. I'm sure all these help the environment. Medication in a pharmacy box. No? Don't have medication. Right, we're gonna get arrested. Don't have a bus card. We don't have our medication. We're very ill prepared today. Okay. We're all ready. Let's go and find a. Let's go and put my hat on. There we go. We need a warm coat. Already. Let's go strike. Okay, you can cut. You can cut there. While the youth strike for climate protests technically have nothing to do with Extinction Rebellion, a large majority of volunteers and people who set up the climate strike hail from Extinction Rebellion. I was going down there to meet some of the protesters and volunteers. After I arrived, a little lost, I managed to join in on the briefing for the young volunteers.
Right, so what we're doing is we obviously have an agenda planned, but we have a few hiccups, obviously, nothing ever goes right. So the generator which provides the power for kind of our PA system and stuff, for the music is potentially not going to be delivered until 12. So, worst case scenario, we don't have power. What we're thinking is, we've got a van, does everyone see the red van? Yes. So we're asking the police if we can reverse it on. The van has a speaker system in it. It won't be very loud, but it'll be the best that we have now. What we need from our volunteers, from you guys right now, is, it's absolutely freezing. How do we get people coming together and moving and getting high energy at the start of this? Okay? So we've got a band that has music, we've got a drum set. We want to get people interacting with each other and moving, yeah? And then we've got a drama piece, I think, is the first thing. What are we thinking for activities that we can get people going on?
Chants.
Right.
Getting everyone moved together. Then we're going to do some like breakouts.
Jumping around like chanting and stuff.
Yeah, I think we need to do some chanting. We've got megaphone.
Right, do we want to move in a little bit? It's a bit chilly. Doing that thing Penguin do with the like pedal together. Can we do that?
How do we get people moving? Chanting doesn't move. A bit of action right now. I mean, okay, no, but this is the thing, okay? Splat. Why could we not do something?
While the volunteers tried to figure out how to get people moving in the cold November air, I spoke to a local Green Party candidate.
So I'm Penny Stables. I'm the Green Party candidate for Elmet and Rothwell in the coming election.
Very nice. And why have you come down here today?
So there's a number of us from Elmet and Rothwell Green Party who have come down to support all the young people in this protest and to make some awareness around the need to take action right now on the climate emergency. Particularly at the moment with the UN releasing the information this week about how the climate change is accelerating dramatically out of anyone's control, that we need to take action right now. And at the moment, all the big parties are just pushing it back and back and back and putting their heads in the sand. So we're the only party, the Green Party, who's saying we have to hit net zero carbon by 2030 in order to prevent getting to the tipping point where we just cannot bring the climate back, where the ice caps will be melting at an accelerated rate, the rainforests will be dying, we'll lose thousands of species. So we have to take action now, and that's why this is really important, to send that message to all the big parties. Whoever gets in government, we have to take action now. I think anything that brings attention to the climate emergency right now is what we need to do. So every strike we do. So if the fact that young people are involved is fabulous, because I think it gets the world's attention. I think this is really important. Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
As the steps outside the town hall filled up, there was a palpable sense of excitement. as kids leaving their lessons joined together in solidarity. Compared to Extinction Rebellion, this is a lot less civil disobedience, with the police actually there to support the protest rather than shut it down if it got too rowdy.
No, why are you striking today?
Because I don't think that our government are doing enough to sort out the climate emergency, or they're not declaring a climate emergency, so we need immediate action to be taken. And
So what, can you explain your sign?
yeah, well, it's just, you know, our government aren't doing anything to sort it out, and there's a lot better people who could probably sort it out better than the government are doing now. So.
And do you think that these climate strike protests are the sort of way forward with this movement?
Yeah, I think getting the message out and heard is the most important thing.
Alright guys, are we ready? So, Isabel, how old are you? Isabel is 10 years old. Brilliant, I could speak at 10. So, can we cheer Isabel for speaking at 10 years old? Isabel, thank you so much for speaking. Thank you very much. Isabel, where are you from?
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
I'm not the weather, nor someone who can boss you about, but I can tell you the future. If we carry on our ways, the future will not be what we see today, but something much, much worse. Do you really want a world with no animals but ourselves? Do you really want to be one of the people that are causing these beautiful creatures to be becoming extinct? Well, I do not. We must act now, and if we don't, it's only a matter of time before it's our turn. This is not just our future, it's the future of our children and their children, and for centuries and centuries after that. We must act now.
Isabel's speech was one of many, made in the run-up to the march around the city centre's streets.
Isabel, you are a climate justice! Isabel, you are a climate justice! Alright, one last cheer for
Done. Won't happen so. Soon it will be gone and then with you we will. What am I to do except shout from my gut? But all of my company won't shut, jump up, and everyone is lying in the
There was also a uni student who had come to lighten the mood with some enthralling information on union
I'd like to say big respect to my lecturers who have gone out on strike for what they believe in. And secondly, big respect to all of you who have come out today and fighting for the survival of our planet. We live in a world of many injustices. We have this struggle, our UCU struggle, and we have ongoing CWU disputes with the posties who have not been allowed to go on strike. It's a disgrace. We have an NEU dispute across the road up in Leeds at Notre Dame. Today we show our solidarity with the climate struggle. Powerful members of previous generations have not only ignored the issue, but willingly sacrificed the environment in the name of capitalism.
Capitalism? System change? I thought I was striking for the climate. I didn't manage to get the footage as my mind seemed to forget I was even making a film, but I talked to one of the people who set up the climate strike, and he told me that this was a relatively small turnout, and that previous strikes during the warmer weather saw a crowd of thousands, and that due to the cold weather on this day, there was only hundreds.
Are they sure that they're right?
It was now my turn to join the sea of people and fight for climate justice. Maybe this time the government would listen, so I don't have to stand out in the cold any longer. I was struck by the number of people who avidly oppose the system in a police-supported climate strike for children. I managed to eavesdrop on a conversation ahead of me, where a couple were not happy about this hijacking. I thought I'd keep an open mind and just march on.
My other microphone has them all written on them. Wait. Are you filming me? Sick. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Climate change is at our door. 5, 6, 7, 8. Act before it is too late. 1, 2, 3, 4. Climate change is at our door. 5, 6, 7, 8. Act before it is too late. 1, 2, 3, 4. Climate change is at our door.
Despite what reservations there could have been, it was undeniably thrilling to take over the streets, to yell and march along with pounding drums and confuse everyone watching. I constantly wondered if this would put a stop to climate change once and for all. Just come on a nice little holiday to a sort of Lincolnshire area, and on a random back street, this is just to show how far Extinction Rebellion have gone, some random back street of this small little town, got a whole wall of Extinction Rebellion, and tell the truth, act now, upgrade democracy. I think they've changed the 3, and this is an old one. Anyway, just proves how far they've gone. I wanted to attend one final strike for this film, and I decided to attend the Valentine's Day strike, a few months after the last one, to see if attendance was still what it was. It's another mic's recording. By the time I managed to figure out how to record audio, we were ready to go, this time committed to finding some alternative points of view. I had contacted the volunteers and young activists I talked to last time, however, this time they didn't respond, so I took to the gathering crowd to see who I could speak to. At the back of the crowd, I met some young communists.
Incite a riot.
My document.
Are you making a documentary?
Yeah.
Alright, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah. That's a good question.
What do you think of all this? Is this like a step towards change?
No, it's not a step towards change pretty much, because they're pretty much just here to project that they have like a political affinity to like saving the planet, but in reality they suppress symbols of actual change such as communism.
Can I just say, that they're trying to work within the constraints of capitalism to solve
as long as they keep
and it's contradictory, you can't do that.
Look, last time we were here, they were down there shaking hands with the
fuck,
the police save the planet! How can they save the planet while also like shaking hands with the henchmen of the bourgeoisie, which are destroying the planet? What's the point of that?
I apologise for the audio here. It seems the wind had decided to cheat me out of valuable interview content.
It's like politics, it's basically faction. They're using political slogans and a political message and a faction to give them clout.
The French situationist theorist, Marxist, Guy Debord, he called this recuperation. It's essentially the idea that the bourgeoisie and the petty bourgeois essentially adopt and recuperate. They steal the language of revolt so as to bastardize what revolt actually means, right?
Holding signs.
Sure. Guys, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, they're laughing right now because they're seeing all these people thinking they're doing something. They're in their ivory towers and thinking, these guys are doing nothing, we can see and chill. We need to actually put pressure on them, and that isn't going to work. We're just sticking some flags in the air and singing some songs.
We need to murder the monarchy.
Is that the world? You have nothing to lose but your chains.
You have nothing to lose but your chains. The emancipation of the working class can only happen by the working class themselves. Radical liberalism, it's just not. You just like Liberalism is the centre, yeah? It's the status quo, and these guys think that calling themselves a liberal is radical. You're literally just supporting the status quo. Stop licking your own ass.
They think they're dyeing their hair and wearing funny, like, fucking clothing.
Making customised dresses.
Guys, maybe they'll be more scared if we wear pink, because that's a girl colour.
Oh god,
how subversive, how subversive.
The bourgeoisie has resigned.
I think that's gonna help. That's better. Is that like a game?
So look what it says.
I don't know what it says.
No, not really.
Seems vague.
On my way into the strike, I was handed a small sheet of chants, and I was interested to see what they would make of it.
Hey, it's getting hot in here. There's too much carbon in the atmosphere. Hey, fossil fuels have got to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Climate change is at the door. 5, 6, 7, 8. Out before it's too late. Do you have a favourite? Alright, you told me these are individual lyrics. Like, what's your favourite chant?
My revolution! It was impossible in the
Let's be on that shit!
Does anyone remember something that happened a year ago tomorrow? Does anyone remember a little thing called the start of youth strike? Okay, so tomorrow it is the anniversary.
Then, in the middle of the speech celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Youth Strike, it seemed an ideal time to start showing an alternative viewpoint to solving the climate emergency. Despite the Macarena taking the audience by storm, this action of brandishing the Soviet flag caught the attention of leading organisers of the strike.
See the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger.
Tell the police that we want to cause disruption. Tell the police that we're here to cause disruption. Tell the police that this is pointless if there's no disruption.
Why are you working with the police? You just set the police on you.
Okay, don't kill the messenger. Don't kill the messenger.
I'm sorry.
The organisers seemed to keep quiet enough to escape my microphone, but from what I can recall they were just told to chill out, something which the communists thought went against the whole idea of the strike in the first place.
Completely defeats the point of the march. Well, you have to inform the police of what, like, iconography you're using during the march.
Can I say, yeah? Cause disruption, then what's the point of this? What is the point of this other than to cause disruption?
Well, the point of this is to change the conversation.
Yeah, we are changing the conversation right now.
Well, yeah,
how can we change the conversation without disruption?
Yeah, exactly.
I just wanted to flag.
They were telling us not to use effective imagery or to make people uncomfortable. They were telling us that we don't want to cause a disruption. It's a strike. Strikes exist to cause disruption.
The purpose of a strike is to cause disruption.
They said, be careful or you might cause a disruption. It's a fucking strike.
Yeah, they just said one solution revolution. Why are they allowed to put that? Everyone's got them, why not allowed to put a hammer and sickle?
They were saying, be careful or you might do something that actually makes change.
It is now customary to reiterate the importance of conserving numbers of upstanding citizens. Without them, the economy would completely...
I think it was around the time of the expressive street dance that the communists got bored and left. This time, I wasn't going to stay for the march, but I wanted to ask some final questions to a climate researcher. If anyone wants to know if this form of activism was working, it be her. I asked her if there was a best way to solve this oncoming crisis.
Okay, the best way, that's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there is a best way.
No.
I think there needs to be lots of different forms of action happening, and we work with the Leeds City Council, so we work on the Climate Commission. We also work with other universities, We advise national government. We also work internationally with the IPCC, so Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. But we also come to things like this to be on hand to answer questions, because we know this is also a really important part of the puzzle. So it's lots of different pieces need to happen for change to happen, because change needs to happen on a systemic level. So this is a really important part, and I think actually it was only when young people started saying this is not good enough that I saw stuff start to happen.
And things like this have helped it sort of take off. Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, not just helped it. I think this has been a catalyst. Yeah, and that's why it's really amazing to see.
Do you think that a lot of these figures that come out, like, you know, people say they've got 10 years left, are they sort of realistic, or are they blown up and then cause people a lot of anxiety and worry? And then a lot of people sometimes say, oh, that's, and a lot of people criticise these numbers. Like, where does that sort of come from? Or,
so when the I think it was the 12 years
originally
came out,
that
was supposedly taken from what the IPCC report said. But the media like a good headline, right? They like something dramatic. They like to put numbers on things. They like to make it simple. And actually, it's not. That message wasn't quite right. And yes, I think unfortunately it caused some panic, and also it not only caused panic, but it also caused defeat. So people go, well, there's only 12 years, so why would I? Let's just enjoy the 12 years we have left, or something like that. Or it's not even possible to do something. So I think the numbers are problematic. I think trying to simplify the message too much is problematic. I think we can try and do that, but we need to also realise it's a really complex issue, and to say we've got 12 years to save the planet isn't quite the right message.
Yes. How much time do you think we have to start? Do you think enough action is being done at the minute by the government? No. I think a lot more needs to be done.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people will tell you we should have started doing stuff 10, 20 years ago. And the longer we wait to actually really totally change a lot of the way we do things, the more we're going to have to do more quickly. So actually, we already have to make quite a lot of radical shifts, but if we don't start doing that now, it's going to mean it's going to be even more radical later on, and the impacts we're going to start to feel are going to start getting worse.
Thank you very much.
That's alright, is that all you need?
Yeah, that's all I need.
So, that was my brief encounter with modern climate activism. My idea with this film was to measure their effectiveness, which I guess we'll see in the coming years. And while the historical comparisons are helpful in some sense, they're ultimately surface level in many. It's hard to compare Exile with the past, simply given their decentralised nature. Having been there and talked to them, I would more subscribe to the view that they are much more of a social movement than one cohesive protest organisation. It would be impossible to try and comprehend the effect these groups have had in the last couple of years or so in one documentary. Whatever side you take, I think it'd be undeniable to say that they have accessed public discourse effectively. But I guess the quicker the climate is sorted, the quicker we can put down our sides, get indoors, turn up the thermostat and get warm.